Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Totally Booked Right
Totally booked
Now.
right now.
Yay! I'm Cammie,
I'm Kirsten.
and we are going to be reviewing the romance, The Island by Briar Prescott today. So welcome everyone back. Hopefully you have enjoyed our prior episodes, and we are very excited to talk about this book. It's very different from our last one that we reviewed, and
This is my first Briar Prescott book, I think.
very good. I've read quite a few by this author previously. Pretty good at pulling out some emotions and getting a little bit more deep dive into the thoughts and feelings of characters, which is maybe good and bad at sometimes throughout the story. So I am going to be going through the synopsis, at least to start here for us. So the book opens with Kirsten's favorite, a prologue.
This one made sense, though.
Yeah, fair enough. We are introduced by our first main character, Dylan, and his new neighbors, the Olsen family. They are off limits, though, according to Dylan's uppity aunt, Nina. Everything from their clothes to their car, nothing that they had was proper in his Aunt Nina's eyes. There's a lot of them. They're very loud and rambunctious. They have a lot of animals, including some chickens, and they probably don't keep the house up to the neighborhood standards. There's jokes about Christmas decorations being left out through February, which, come on, stop judging people for that.
Well, we don't take them down till after the stock show.
Yes, duh.
Well, also, I was like, if Aunt Nina cares about this so much, why doesn't she live in a neighborhood with, like homeowners association?
Right. That has maybe a little bit more grounds for giving people a hard time about some of these kinds of things, right? But all of these things that this family has and represents is exactly what Dylan wishes he could have. His uncle hopes that Dylan will have friends his age nearby now, and there's some contention between his aunt and uncle about whether he should really befriend this family. Unfortunately, Dylan's uncle dies pretty soon after the Olsen family moves in, and Dylan feels extremely lonely at this point. The next part of the story kind of goes through Dylan as he is aging, and it is all from his point of view. So in this first chapter, Dylan is 10 years old. We get some additional context into Dylan's uncle's death. He had a brain aneurysm at work and was found dead by an assistant. It was what Dylan called a quiet and guilt-free death, as nothing could have been done to save him. He's buried next to Dylan's mom and grandparents. His Aunt Nina, like everything else she seems to do, is very stoic and efficiently goes through the stages of grief without any communication to Dylan about what's going on.
Yeah. And I'm like, why is Aunt Nina like this? I would have enjoyed some context as to why she's so
Right.
like
It's just kind of
damaged.
right off the bat, she seems very cold and
Yeah.
maybe not uncaring, but her way that she expresses her feelings is very limited, and especially to a 10-year-old kid, right?
Yeah. And he makes it seem like it sounds almost like she goes through how many stages of grief are there? Like 5? Like
Uh-huh.
a stage a day.
A stage a
It's like
day.
a week
Yes.
later, she's like, fine.
Yep. She's moving on. It's after Dylan's uncle's death that he has his first real interaction with one of the neighbors, Adrian Olsen, but it's still 2 years after they've already moved in. So he has not really interacted with this family that moved in next door for 2 whole years. And apparently due to his aunt's, she doesn't want him to be friends with this family.
And Dylan, he wants to be friends. He doesn't know how to be friends with people or like to take the ends that they're offering to him.
And thankfully, this whole first interaction with Adrian occurs because Adrian kicks a soccer ball and it hits Dylan in the face, which it made me laugh. Like you said, though, Dylan felt like he finally had the in that he's been desperate for to be able to interact with the family because he was both too shy to approach him, and again, his aunt had kind of forbid him to do so. Dylan gets a bloody nose from the soccer ball hitting him in the face, and Adrian helps him stop the bleeding, and they introduce themselves to each other. Dylan, because he's awkward, gives Adrian his full name, which is Dylan Emerson Lang. Okay, but they're 10, so we'll give him a little break, right?
Yeah.
Adrian finds this particularly funny and decides to give him his full name as well, which is Adrian Elias Olsen. Dylan is very excited that Adrian asks him to play, and he calls that day, their initial interaction, as the start of the blueprint of his life. So we're getting some foreshadowing here that they are going to become very, very important to each other. Jumps ahead a little bit. Dylan is now 12 years old. He becomes best friends with Adrian by now, and they spend all the time that they can together. Adrian's family hosts a lot of parties, and Dylan goes to all of them while his aunt still does not. His aunt is, however, now dating a man named Preston who has a son, Parker, that is the same age as Dylan, but he's a bit of a bully and a twat, honestly, and Dylan doesn't like him.
Good word. Forgot about that
Thank
word.
you. Yeah. It's a good one to describe Parker,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
This was when I was like, was this Harry Potter fan fiction originally? Because
Like a Harry Ron fanfic a little bit. We've
yes,
got
because I'm like, they have the crazy family next door that's
with a
like
billion
warm and
kids,
loving. Yeah, and then this poor little orphan boy with
boy,
shitty aunt and uncle
and a
and
crappy
an asshole
quasi or
kid.
cousin.
Yeah,
Yes, who he has to
it's
live with.
dumb.
Hmm. Yes. Dylan is forced to spend time with Preston and Parker in very pretentious settings that Dylan hates and wishes he was one of the Olsen's children's instead. He doesn't feel like he fits in with the snobby lifestyle his aunt wants, and it's getting worse now that she is dating Preston. There is a treehouse on the Olsen property that has become the official hangout spot for all of the kids, but it is where Adrian and Dylan spend a lot of their time together. And they have sleepovers in this treehouse. One night, Adrian and Dylan are in the treehouse and they wish upon stars together. Dylan's wish is to belong. He doesn't feel like he has anyone, and Adrian fiercely states that he is one of them. He's one of the Olsens, which Dylan doesn't know if he's ready to believe or to really hope for yet, even though they've been friends for almost 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Adrian's like, what do you mean you don't have anybody? Like, hello,
right. Like,
you're
what are
part
you
of the
talking
crew.
about? Yeah. What, like,
Yeah.
Adrian cannot wrap his head around the fact that Dylan does not feel like
Mhm.
he belongs with them or that he's not one of them at this point.
Yeah. Dylan's 13 now. We're in the next chapter, but the she does this a lot, or Dylan does it a lot, where he like I took this quote. I like when things stay the same. They never do. Change always creeps in and ruins everything. And the book has these little premonition statements a lot, which they always stress me out so hard because I think the thing that's coming is so terrible. And then it's just like, oh, okay. It's just this like little, okay, life event or whatever. But yeah, I hate when books do that. I mean, it just stresses
Yeah.
me out. I'm like, oh no, something terrible is going to happen. And then it's
And
not
he's
that bad.
13 at this point. So it's maybe not,
Right.
if we got to remember that it might not actually be as bad as we think it is. Dylan is 13. His Aunt Nina gets proposed to by Preston. Again, Dylan doesn't like change, and this is going to be very, very huge for him. He compares just how different his mother is to his aunt, which he then feels guilty about, which Dylan is going to feel guilty throughout the whole book. It's almost just a personality
Yeah.
trait. He just feels guilty about
Yeah.
everything.
And he does. Yeah.
Because
He's very self-deprecating
yes,
too.
because he appreciates that his aunt and uncle took him in, but at the same time, he really misses his parents. So he has this war within himself with, I should feel more thankful for what I have
Yeah.
instead of missing out on what I have.
Right.
Yeah.
And around this time too, we find out Dylan was with his mom when she died. They got in a car accident together.
Right.
And then he was next to her as she
Mhm.
died in the car. And I'm like, oh my God. And just other sad stuff about his mom. Like she liked to dance in the kitchen. Nina never dances. And Dylan says he tried to sing once and she said it gave her a headache. And I was like, oh my.
And this
And then
poor
he's just
little
like,
boy.
I have to be grateful. I am grateful. And I'm just like, oh my God. He needs therapy.
He does.
He needed therapy for the last like 5 years, and that
And-
doesn't go away
Mhm.
this entire book either. I'm like,
Yes, go get therapy.
mm,
As the wedding preparations are coming to fruition, the year flies by. And Dylan feels that Nina and Preston were made for each other because they're both such uppity, snobby jerks through the wedding planning process. There is a joke that they made 2 different wedding planners cry throughout the process. So they're pretty terrible people.
they really suck.
Yeah. Dylan has to move bedrooms when Preston and Parker move in because Parker wants the biggest room in the house, even though he spends the majority of his time with his mother, who lives in the city. They live in a suburb of Boston. It doesn't really say the area, but they're in the Boston area, but they're like in a
Yeah.
suburb. It's a quieter, smaller street for sure.
Yeah, but the room thing pissed me off so much. They're like, he deserves the bigger room because he's, needs to spend time with his dad. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He lives here
Yeah.
part-time.
And poor Dylan, this is like the first time we see Dylan being a little bit of a doormat and just letting things. And I think that he also was just kind of like, I don't even care about my life in this house anyway. He already was feeling like the
Yeah.
Olsen family was really where he wanted to be. So if he's like, you know what, if it's not going to cause problems and I can just, yeah, sure, I'll give you my room. I don't care at all.
Right.
Yeah. Around this time, Dylan goes to see Adrian and he's very upset because his aunt is making him switch to the same private school that Parker goes to. Adrian has this trick of telling very bad dad jokes, and he's trying to use this to get Dylan to cheer up a little bit, but unfortunately it doesn't really work. And Adrian tries to pull out some positives about going to a new school, but Dylan is just really not having any of it. He is terrified. He does not want to go to the school with Preston. And because he's so upset about it, Adrian gives Dylan a hug. This is a really important scene in the book, mostly just because Dylan discusses how he has not really got any hugs since his parents have died. His aunt and uncle were not the most affectionate people, and he is just incredibly touch-starved. And so this very platonic 13-year-old young boy hug meant the world to him, that Adrian gave him that. He then goes on to describe that all of the Olsons are huggers, and it was something that took him a very long time to get used to because he did not have that in his life for a very, very long time. Dylan tells Adrian that he's afraid to switch schools because he thinks that means that Adrian wouldn't want to be his friend anymore.
I was like, what are you talking about, dude? I was like, you are still living right next door to him.
I know. It's not like you are also moving when you're switching schools. You're physically still going to be there.
And Adrian's also confused. Like, what? You're still going to be right here.
Yeah, just because I don't see you at school doesn't mean that we cannot still be friends. Like, it's okay. It's okay.
Right.
This prompts Adrian to propose them making a blood pact with each other. So they both prick the tips of their fingers with a needle and sign a contract that says that they will always be friends and always have each other's backs. Adrian says that they should make more pacts and plans the same way. And Dylan wants to know if he will always be a part of them, which Adrian says, you will be in every sentence of every page of my plans, which
And I was like, this is really the first clue, though.
Yes.
That Adrian's not 100% straight, because
you don't think that about just good buddies, right? Or at least
right.
I don't know. I never had a best friend that I thought that about. Dylan has started at the new school with Parker, but he's getting bullied by Parker and his cronies. Dylan will occasionally skip school to hide out in the treehouse in the Olsons' backyard to avoid it until one day he is caught by Adrian's dad, Eric. Eric is a super cool dad and invites Dylan in to watch movies and come into their house instead of staying out in the treehouse. It's winter or early springtime, so it's pretty cold out there when he catches him. Eric does not push Dylan for any information about what's going on, but he can tell that there is something that is bothering Dylan. Later that night, when Eric walks Dylan home, he tells Aunt Nina about what is going on, or that he found Dylan in the treehouse. Unfortunately, though, nothing really ever comes of that. Nina and Preston sit Dylan down and just tell him boys will be boys and he needs to just get over the bullying, which...
Yeah.
There's a ton of tension in the house after this altercation, and Dylan stays away as much as possible. This point in the story, we also find out that the reason that the Olsons moved is because they inherited a garage that Eric runs and now works at. Adrian goes there to help out after school sometimes, and he is learning to be a mechanic as well. Adrian catches Parker tripping Dylan one day as he's getting off the bus, and Adrian beats Parker up and threatens him and tells him to leave Dylan alone. Like, yeah, go, Adrian.
I'm so happy. Yeah.
I know, because again, Dylan he doesn't want to rock the boat. He has not wanted to rock the boat at home with his aunt and uncle, and he's just kind of allowing things to happen to him instead of standing up for himself in a lot of ways. This also results in Adrian confronting Dylan and asking him why he didn't tell Adrian that Parker was still bullying him, which Dylan shrugs off and says it doesn't matter. But Adrian responds very emphatically with, "You matter to me." Dylan isn't really sure what to do with that, but he does know that makes him happy, that Adrian does think of him outside, is concerned about his well-being. We skip ahead to the next year. Dylan is now 15 years old. Him and Adrian have a great summer together, and he spends a lot of times with the Olsons. He is beginning to go over there even when Adrian is not around. Things change pretty dramatically, though, this year for both of them once school starts, because Dylan finds out that Adrian is going to go with a girl to homecoming. The girl, Emma, asked Adrian out, which was somewhat comforting that Adrian did not initiate this, but Dylan is very confused because of how upset he is by this information. Dylan gets asked to babysit Adrian's younger siblings on the night of homecoming. His parents just were going out and doing something else, and none of the other older siblings were available. So Dylan sees Adrian in a suit, thinking he looks good, and is again very confused by his reaction to this. Dylan becomes very upset by these new feelings and can't stop thinking about what Adrian is doing with his date.
I think, too, in between all of this, their relationship is really, I mean, I know the Olsons are huggers, but Adrian's really touchy-feely with Dylan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, extreme. Like, if they're sitting on the couch, they're like plastered together on their
Yes.
sides. So I'm like, is Adrian just going with this girl because he's like, well, I gotta go with somebody, and she asked me, and I was like,
Yeah.
or is he trying to make Dylan jealous? But alas.
Adrian's a little, and part of me is just like, because I have come across those people that are very touchy-feely just in general, and I'm not particularly like that, so it does very much kind of like, I have to take a minute to just be like, okay, that's just how you are kind of thing. But I could totally see how that would be very confusing for Dylan in a lot of ways, just to have that type of connection with somebody when he hasn't really yet. So, so Dylan is kind of spiraling, and he doesn't know why he's spiraling, while Adrian is at the dance. And when he gets home, Adrian tells Dylan that Emma is really cool and that they should go out on a double date with Emma and her friend. Dylan does not really want to do that. He wants to hear more about how things went at homecoming, but he's really too afraid to ask. He just can't bring himself to find out any more information. He doesn't kind of want to reveal that he's having these maybe additional feelings about Adrian going to homecoming with a girl. They're kind of talking on the couch, and Adrian brings up how big his family is and how crammed it can feel. And he wants to know if Dylan has ever thought about leaving the Boston area. Since we've previously brought up, Dylan doesn't like change, and he feels like there's good schools nearby. So his honest answer is that he hasn't really thought about it. He has not thought about leaving or wanting to leave. He asks Adrian the same thing, and Adrian says he would like to, but he's not book smart, and he knows that he'll likely end up working at the garage with his dad. This makes Dylan go again. He starts thinking about how different their lives will be when they graduate high school, and he's really terrified at the thought of not living right next door to Adrian or seeing him every single day. Yeah. So they've got some differing life paths that I think we're going to, or they're realizing that they're probably going to encounter in not too short of a time period here. Yeah.
But he also is like, you could come with me.
Adrian goes on to
he's sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Did I get
Goes on. Adrian goes on to say that he'd like to travel the world a little bit before he starts working at the garage full time, and invites Dylan to go with him. This conversation kind of again goes to Dylan kind of questioning, like, do you really want me to go with you? And Adrian reiterates that Dylan is in every sentence of every page of his life plans. Dylan doesn't think he'd like to travel the same way Adrian does, though. So he's like,
sorry, I was about to go,
gay. He's like, yeah, I don't know if I will. I would really want to do that. And Adrian's like, well, it's okay. I'll support you in whatever you choose and whatever way you want. Which also, Dylan is just, his feelings in this entire little section, he's so confused. He has no idea how he feels, why he feels them. I think he's can
having
tell
his little sexual awakening.
Yes, very much so, because he's also becoming aware of new things about Adrian that he didn't notice before. There's a very specific scene where they're playing soccer and Adrian takes his shirt off, and Dylan is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, kind of,
he has a happy trail.
Yeah. And he's in this.
Yeah.
Like, where's that come from? Why am I so interested in this right now? And he even laments, he's like, I have seen Adrian shirtless so many times in so many other points in our lives. We've been friends for so long now. Why is this tripping me up? I don't get it. Yeah. They do end up going on a double date with Emma and her friend Josie to see a movie. All Dylan can focus on, though, is because him and Adrian are actually sitting next to each other in the movie, which I thought that was an odd configuration, because when I was 15 years old, if I went on a double date, I was sitting next to my girlfriend that was
Yeah.
there, like my friend, and then the boys were on the
Right.
outside. So I thought
Yeah,
this
yeah,
was an
yeah, yeah.
interesting seating
That's right.
arrangement for them. Um,
Yeah.
but all that Dylan can focus on is that Adrian's arm is touching his during the movie. And Dylan keeps sneaking peeks over at Adrian while they're watching the movie. And he notices Adrian's pulse in his neck and wants to know what it would be like to lick it and then run away because he's terrified to
I
even think about
right.
doing that. Yeah.
I also don't think I've ever imagined licking someone, like,
No,
it's
no.
just funny, but yeah,
It's
go for it,
it's an
Dylan, do it,
interesting.
do it.
Yeah. Yep. He obviously doesn't act on these thoughts, but he's very concerned about why he is thinking these things about his best friend.
Mm.
He is somewhat relieved, though, because Adrian only goes on one more date with Emma and then stops talking about her. So Dylan's like, yes, okay, thank God. Things are not working out with them. But why am I so happy that things are not working out with them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dylan goes on a family camping trip with the Olsons later that summer, and Adrian flips his kayak while they are out kayaking. And Dylan becomes wildly distracted by Adrian taking off his soaking wet clothes. And he is again noticing Adrian in this new way and is very enticed by his muscles and his body. And because he's kind of terrified of this reaction, he gets super shy and runs away to get Adrian some dry clothes while the rest of Adrian's family is still laughing at him. Dylan's reaction to this, kind of like Adrian tracks it, he notices that Dylan is kind of flustered by this encounter. So he's a little bit, he doesn't really understand what's going on with Dylan either. So everyone's confused. It's also at this point that Dylan starts having dreams about Adrian and fantasizes about him in ways he assumes other boys fantasize about girls. He's terrified of ruining their friendship, and he really hopes that these feelings for Adrian go away.
Mhm.
We jump the next couple, this next age, it was very simple. Dylan is 16. His feelings don't fade away. He states he is desperately, hopelessly in love with Adrian. So
Me.
yes, sweet little gay boy with his first crush on his straight best friend. That sounds
Yeah.
very cliche, but it's yeah. Um, Dylan is now 17. He is still very much in love with Adrian and hasn't said anything to him about it. But instead of it being terrifying anymore, he said he has just gotten used to it. It's just a feeling that he suppresses
Mhm.
basically anytime he's around him and knows that he will never act on any of these feelings.
Yeah. I mean, that would really suck.
Yeah, that the unrequited love is got to be in the hormones at that age, it's got to be just out of
Mhm.
control confusing. Yeah. And then terrifying. Adrian is his only real, like really close friend that he has, and he's terrified to
Yeah, I
lose
would
him.
say it's, like, his only friend.
Yes,
Yeah, we don't know if
essentially.
he has any other friends. I mean, I guess besides, like, Adrian's siblings too are kind of
Right.
his
And it's not
siblings,
like
but
explicitly stated, but it does appear that he is pretty lonely at his private school. Like even
oh,
though
yeah.
Parker is not really like, beating him up anymore, he's still kind of a pariah at school. It
Yeah.
doesn't appear that he's not really made new friends at school. So now Dylan is 17 years old. He's still very much in love, but Adrian isn't with Emma anymore, but he has had girlfriends throughout the past couple of years. Dylan comments that he really hates that these girlfriends get to see a side of Adrian that he will never get to, and he's acknowledged that he's very jealous of these girlfriends that Adrian gets. While out near the ocean or on a beach of some sort, he overhears one of Adrian's little sister's friends, Cammy, haha, that bitch.
Oh my
No,
god,
and it was spelled the same way. I have
I
never
can't
seen my
believe you were
name.
in this book.
I know. I was like, I don't remember doing this to anybody, but
I would never.
I
Oh,
know.
well, you're not even doing anything bad, you're just talking about how hot Adrian is.
I know. And Cammy is talking about how hot Adrian is, and Dylan hates that he can't stare, flirt, and giggle with Adrian like Cammy can. Later that evening, they go to a friend of a friend's house for a house party where Adrian dances with Cammy, which pisses Dylan
Mm,
off. And while this is happening, Dylan gets flirted with by some girl that offers him a shot, but he's not really paying her any attention because it's all consuming his jealous feelings of
yeah.
watching Adrian and Cammy dancing, and then ultimately they start kissing out on the dance floor. Like all young people who don't know what to do with their feelings, he starts drinking heavily and wanders off to be alone,
Yeah.
where he meets Kit. Kit flirts with Dylan, and Dylan decides, F it. If I can't have Adrian, I will take what Kit is offering, which is a blowjob. Kit doesn't ask him to reciprocate.
Ayo.
I know. I was like, whoa, we just went from like 0 to 100. And
Yeah.
that was, and I think that, again, feeling very jealous, starts drinking, decides that, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I don't care anymore. Kit does not ask him to reciprocate, but this is Dylan's first encounter with another boy. After this encounter,
I'm
sorry,
also
go
like,
ahead.
how did the kid know? How did they bump into each other? And he was like, "Hey, I know you want me to suck your dick."
And
Like there was no like, "Are you into boys?" Or how? I
yeah,
don't know.
I'm like, I
But
don't
I
know if
guess that's
Kit's
a thing.
gaydar was just pinging off like crazy and
Yeah.
was just like, hey, you want to fool around? And Dylan's like, sure.
Also, why is Kit nickname for Christopher?
I don't
Same with
know.
Kip. I don't that doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. I've
Anyway,
never
that's
understood
not
that.
important,
I know.
but continue.
After Dylan's little rendezvous with Kit, he ends up running into Adrian, Cammy, and Adrian's sister Harriet, where Harriet, as most younger sisters do,
Harriet's so funny. I
I
love
know,
her.
she's so funny. She notices a hickey on Dylan's neck and asks him where he got it.
Which
There,
valid. Anytime I see a
yeah,
hickey, I call it out immediately.
I know,
And
because what do you,
right,
but
like a hickey?
I know, what were you doing? Like, no, no, they're not for me. But anyway, but when other people have them, I am going to tell them. I know
Yes.
what's
Yep.
what's going on.
They cannot be hidden.
Mm-mm. There is a flash of an expression that goes across Adrian's face that Dylan can't really read, and he kind of avoids Harriet's answer and doesn't really tell her anything. But then he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's go home."
But
Um,
also, I don't know if it may be a little bit later, but Dylan thinks to himself, "Take that for not wanting me. Take that for making me love you and not loving me back." And I'm like, I mean, in Adrian's defense, he has literally no
no
idea that
idea.
you like him at all like that.
Yeah,
So,
and I would be
like,
kind of
oh my
weird.
God, Dylan, for the love of God.
Like, I know that you are sad about this. He Adrian has no idea. He has no idea that he's
Yeah,
making you jealous of these girls. Like,
right.
he's not doing it intentionally.
Like, Dylan
Like,
literally does nothing this whole book to make his situation better ever.
mhm. Yeah. He's a doormat. He is a
Yeah.
doormat. He lets things happen to him, and it's very sad.
Mhm.
Later that night, Dylan is spending the night with Adrian, and Adrian doesn't really let the hickey thing drop. He asks him again, "Where did you get that?" Dylan admits that it was from another boy, and he blurts out, like, to try to maybe make Adrian jealous as well, that Kit was really good at giving a blowjob. Adrian is a little baffled by this and simply responds with, next time he invites Dylan out on a double date, he'll make sure it's with a boy. And
Yeah.
so this, we now know also that this was Dylan's coming out to
Yeah.
Adrian.
Nobody
Like,
knew.
yeah,
Also, no one cared. Like, there, and that's it. No,
yeah,
him being gay is not an issue ever, which is
mm-mm. It's
good. But I mean, we don't. I'm assuming Nina and Preston, maybe he never tells them. Because around this time, too, we really don't ever hear anything about Dylan's home life again,
nope,
which I think would have been helpful for me. I would have liked that more. Like,
right,
to understand more about where Dylan's coming from. Is he
yeah,
continuing to get abuse at home
right.
to fuel his self-hatred and guilt and loathing of himself that is informing his decisions going forward? Because if he's spending all this time at the loving Olsen's house, like,
Hmm.
why doesn't he have a better grip on reality?
Right, or just how relationships between family members work or friends, or like, why is he not better? Or
Mhm.
he still seems so emotionally stunted, I guess,
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
good way
which,
to
I
describe
mean,
it.
he did watch his mom die when he was 5, he should've been in therapy.
Way
I
long
try
time ago.
yeah, but
Yeah. Um,
anyway.
Ultimately, Dylan is pretty upset, and he's kind of hurt that Adrian kind of brushes this off and doesn't really have a stronger reaction to
Mhm.
Dylan's little first experience, first little sexual experience. So now Dylan is 18 and graduation is coming up, but he does not want to go. He wants to skip it. However, the Olsons insist that he go, and they want to go and support him. And that makes him feel very happy and loved. So he basically decides that he's going to do it just for them. Like, he would not have done it if they had not kind of
Mhm.
pushed him to do so. Specifically, Lynn, which is Mrs. Olson, the mother.
Yeah. Is it clear that did Nina and Preston go? I can't
It is not
remember.
I don't believe that it is mentioned at all. Whether I think that he told them he wasn't going to do it, and so
Hmm.
they didn't come. But now,
I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised, but I feel like
yeah,
I could also I can't remember if it was implied that they were there and they were scandalized by the Olsons
by
being
the
like,
Olsons being.
"Yeah, Dylan, you're
Now
graduating!"
it is brought up, I think, that they were the loudest of
Yeah.
anyone who cheered for anybody, and it was a little frowned upon because it's this private school, and
Oh,
it is supposed to be a
right,
little
yeah,
bit
they're
more
all
uppity and
uptight.
fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so I think that was kinda brought up, so yeah.
Mhm.
This is, one of the first times that I think Dylan really feels like he's part of their family. Like, he should have felt this way for a long time, but them coming and showing up for
Yeah.
him was kind of this, like, it's been 8 years, but maybe they do actually love me, and
Mhm.
which was really sad that it took him that long to do that.
Mhm.
Since now they've both graduated, Adrian is going through with his plans to travel and has purchased tickets to New Zealand. But Dylan is not going with him. And Dylan is having a hard time figuring out how he's going to cope with Adrian being away. Dylan is about to take some of Adrian's younger siblings out to a movie when Eric has an accident and is hit by a car while jogging. He's in really bad shape. And so while the older siblings and their mom rotate staying at the hospital and working, Dylan helps out by taking care of all of the younger Olsen kids. Their pets, he keeps the house running for them, and he generally is doing literally anything they need.
Mhm.
He's doing whatever he can to help this family while Eric's in recovery.
Yeah.
And
I also
although yeah, go ahead.
sorry, just really quick.
Yeah.
I feel like saying Eric was hit by a car is undermining it. He was
Yeah.
run over
Yes.
by a car. Horrifying. A teenager that
By
was texting and driving. Don't
yes.
text and drive, people.
Mhm.
Pay
Mhm.
attention.
PSA. PSA. Yes. Um Eric's recovery is going well, but it's slow. And so Adrian ends up taking over the garage and is working there. Dylan ends up getting a job at a hardware store, and he wants to start contributing his paycheck to the Olsons. And the mom, Lynn, absolutely refuses. She does not want him to feel like he needs to do that for them.
Mhm.
And they kind of have, one of those negotiation back and forth, like, okay, well, I'm going to give you 75%. No, you're going to give us 10, so they kind of argue back and
Yeah.
forth. And ultimately they land on this like 50-50 after Adrian's like, Mom, if he wants to help, let him help us.
Right.
And with some reluctance, but I know that Lynn was very, very thankful that Dylan was
Yeah.
willing to help
I was also
contribute.
like, can you sue it? They have to sue. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But can you
right.
sue a teenager? What happens if you sue somebody that has no money?
Well, let me tell you a little bit of background about some insurance stuff here.
Yeah, I was
Let
gonna
me
say you actually might know.
Yeah,
I was like, I
please
could
do.
Google it, but I'm not gonna.
Um,
So
so depending on how much insurance she had or how much her parents had, depending on if she was on their
Mhm.
policy, they probably got outpaid policy limits. However, the way that insurance works is if you are injured in an accident, most of the time the insurance company pays you out after all of your treatment is done so that they are not writing you a check
Uh,
every week. A lot of times, like if you have a big main hospitals to stay to start, they're going to pay for that. But if
yeah.
you have ongoing treatment where you're going to therapy or some of that kind of stuff, they wait until the very end to pay
Yeah.
you.
What about like losses and stuff? I know I'm getting ahead
Yes.
of us, but like, because Eric still has issues later and he
Uh,
can't work and
that will then a lot of times then the family would hire a lawyer and they'd get a settlement that
Mm,
says we anticipate that long-term care or anticipated extended services are going to be needed. So we
mhm.
anticipate it's going to cost X amount of dollars for us to take care
Okay.
of that. So that's how that works usually. Yeah.
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 Okay.
It's not fun. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you for that lesson. Okay.
You're so welcome. So welcome. Such important information. Now everybody knows
Yeah.
too if you need, yeah, how that
Yep.
works.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay. So Eric is still in the recovery process and Dylan has turned 19. He admits that although he still technically lives at his Aunt Nina's house, he spends almost all of his time at the Olson house. Dylan finds out that Preston's brother got a job in Spain and that his brother's daughter, Freya, does not want to go with them as she is enrolled to start school in Boston in the fall. So she's going to stay with Nina in Preston for these couple of months before school starts. When Freya arrives and introduces herself to Dylan and a few of the Olsons that were outside when she arrived, Adrian appears dumbstruck and cannot form a coherent sentence.
This was so funny, but like obviously so horrible for Dylan, but
I
I
know.
was cracking up. And Nary's like, "Are you having a stroke? Why are you acting so
What is
weird?"
because I think Adrian pulled the whole like, well, I'm good, Howard. I'm good, thanks. Like she didn't say anything to him and he was
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
responding to something
Just
that she
completely, yeah.
yes. He's having a conversation in his head with her already and nothing has happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really funny.
So it's obvious that he's very attracted to her from the get-go, and Dylan even admits that he's never seen Adrian react like this to a girl. Dylan is heartbroken by the reaction, and he knows that things are about to fundamentally change for him and for his relationship with Adrian. Dylan initially tries to keep them physically apart, like for the first day, and he realizes that it's no
Like, this
use.
is impossible.
Yes. And Will, which is one of the Olsen kids, he's Adrian's oldest brother. He even kind of invents a little thing for them to go on a jog together. And Adrian is very like ridiculous and still can't get any words to form when he's trying to talk to her and
Yeah.
kind of flirt with her for the first time. And
Yeah.
kind of unfortunately for Dylan, he can't find a lot of fault in Freya, and he admits that he actually likes her like as a person. She's not terrible. And after Adrian and her go on their first date together, Adrian admits to Dylan that Freya is different from any other girl he's liked, and that makes Dylan feel incredibly hollow.
Yeah.
It
This
just
is just the angstiest angst that has ever angsted.
yeah.
Dylan is so sad. And like, what's when he's like, "I force a smile to my face. This is good. This has to be enough. This will be enough because it's all I'm ever going to have." I was like, the drama, Dylan.
Oh my god.
and, then- and I don't know if when he's saying, yeah, like she's different or whatever, Adrian has like snuck into Dylan's room or somehow they're in the same bed. They're snuggling in bed and Adrian's
Yeah.
telling Dylan about how Freya's different and he really likes her and like what? And I'm like, this is, I mean, I don't know a lot about straight boys, but I'm like, this is not what they do normally. Like Dylan,
know.
something else
Well,
is going on.
Because I think that there's discussed that they've outgrown the treehouse, like they're too big to have sleepovers in there. So Adrian will just go and they'll share the same bed, which
Right.
maybe when they were like
And I mean, I get like,
don't-
good for you. No toxic masculinity, but I'm also like, that's not
how they behave.
I mean, Dylan, take some comfort. And also, it's not very, I mean, Adrian doesn't know anything, but if he ever suspected that Dylan liked him, that's really not nice if he's acting like that. But I mean, I don't think he does, but.
Right. I didn't think so either. So this kind of turns into Dylan becoming the third wheel in Adrian and Freya's relationship. He keeps going out, like they keep inviting him to include him, which is nice of them, but he is just like, this is pure torture. I do
And
not
like
wanna
everybody's
hang out
had
with
that
you."
in high school
Yeah.
though too,
Yes,
where you're like, you have a
yes.
best friend and you still want to hang out with your friend and they're like, yeah, come along with me and my
Yeah,
boyfriend.
and I'm gonna kind of ignore you the whole time.
Right. And you're like, ugh,
oh
but
God,
I'm
this
going because
sucks,
like I
yeah.
have nobody else to hang out with.
Yes. One of these weird date nights or outings that Dylan gets kind of dragged along to is a trivia night. And Adrian gets up to get more drinks, and Freya just point blank asks Dylan why he doesn't like her. He says he does, but he kind of brushes it off and saying like, well, it's just weird. I don't like hanging out with you two as a couple. And she then kind of is like, well, I have friends. She's really trying. She's being like, okay, why don't you like me? I
Yeah.
know that you guys are really good friends, but why don't you like me? And can I set you up with somebody?
Yeah. Well, Freya's, I mean, super nice. And Dylan does like her. You know what I mean?
Yes,
He just can't
exactly. He doesn't, he
like
likes
her
her
100%. You're right. Like
Yeah.
the fact that she's with Adrian is
is
the
really
one
tough on
thing,
him.
the one mark against her
Yes.
that he can't deal with.
Adrian returns to the table before Dylan really has to answer her about finding someone for him. So this also brings me to believe that, like, we don't know if she's saying she has girlfriends, but it maybe is not obvious to everyone else that Dylan is gay or out, or that has not come up in conversation, really, because
Yeah.
I can't really tell if she's saying friends, but he is inferred that she's talking about girlfriends that she wants to introduce him to. A little bit later on Freya's birthday, Dylan, super emotional, and he cannot face going to her party and ends up driving kind of
He does
aimlessly. And
this a
then,
lot too. He's like, "I
yeah,
just can't even deal with
he
it
has,
at all." Like,
he's,
avoids.
he does not know how to express his feelings and emotions. And instead of doing anything about him, he runs away or
Yeah.
just doesn't say anything about it and puts on a mask and pretends like everything's fine and that nothing
Yeah.
is wrong. Yeah.
He's exhausting.
Yes. So he has his car trouble and he's kind of just sitting in his car and kind of like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm going to do. Adrian ends up
Mhm.
calling him to find out where he is. And Dylan feels really guilty, but ends up asking Adrian to leave Freya's party to help him. He's like an hour away from where they were. He really was
Mhm.
driving aimlessly. Freya ends up getting on the phone to kind of encourage, or she's trying to tell him it's fine. Like it's not a big deal that Adrian wants to come and help him, and
Yeah.
she says that she knew that they were a package deal when she started dating Adrian.
Oh, but then he says, "And I wait for Adrian because I'll always wait for him."
I mean,
And I was like, "Freya really is so nice, and Dylan is such a
yeah.
drama king, queen,
Yes,
whatever."
yes. Yeah, he doesn't know what to do with his emotions or how to
Yeah.
he does not deal with them at all, or he deals with
Mhm.
them in such terrible ways. We kind of cut ahead after this. We don't know how things go at the birthday party or kind of anything that is a fallout between that. But New Year's Eve, and Dylan is alone in the backyard of the Olsen house watching Freya and Adrian be the perfect couple. So he is he's just watching everything from the outside. And
Yeah.
he's so sad.
He's widow sad boy.
Yes, he's now 20 years old. This is a direct quote and the only thing that was in the whole chapter for him being 20 years old. It is a specific kind of torture to watch the man you love fall in love with somebody else. It's like, oh, you poor
It is
baby.
sad, but I'm also like,
Yeah.
"All right, Dylan."
Yeah. Okay. But like you also have not said anything. So you are
Yeah.
putting this a little bit on yourself. So
Mhm. I mean, it's too late now, too. I
yes.
mean,
Yeah.
Adrian likes Freya.
Mm-hmm. Poor boy. Dylan is 21 years old. It's not brought up often, but Adrian still doesn't think Dylan likes Freya that much and will occasionally ask about it. Dylan has been not wanting to spend as much time with them as their relationship progresses, and Adrian is pushing Dylan to hang out with them more. They go to hang out with Freya and her college friends, where Dylan gets pretty drunk and watches Adrian and Freya dance together. He feels like his time with Adrian is really drifting away. So I think that he is analyzing, like, he can tell that this is not the same type of relationship that Adrian has had with past
Mhm.
girlfriends, and that he really feels like this time with Adrian is going to be gone soon.
Yeah. Even in the past, like, when we were talking about them being in bed together talking about her, Dylan thinks to himself, "Remember this, you're gonna need it for your best man speech."
Right. It's just like,
Like,
so he's secretly
uh,
pining, but also preparing for the absolute worst, which is, it's got to be its own kind of hell to live
mhm.
in and not really know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to just interject. I can't believe that he didn't even bring this up to any of Adrian's siblings at any point. I thought that
Mhm.
he would have been close enough with that family that he would have grown close enough to say, but also don't
I
think
just
he
don't
just
think he
talks
talks
about
to
it.
right, he doesn't talk
Yeah.
to anybody about anything, like,
Yeah.
at all.
Except for Adrian, but he's only
Right.
picking and
And there's
choosing what he's gonna be.
plenty of times where Adrian pulls something out of him, he will
Mhm.
bug him until like, when they wished on the stars, he was like, "Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me," and wore him down to tell his wish, and
Uh,
so Adrian has to really dig for certain information too, and then no matter what, there's that one secret that Dylan
we'll never tell him.
reveal.
And I think that may just be, like, inherently from, Adrian's growing up in this house full of kids. Like, you probably have to fight
Mhm.
to get what you want in their household, because you maybe are in kind of a constant, I don't wanna say battle, but you're kind of against your siblings in a lot of things, and,
Mhm.
it is very obvious that Dylan grew up in this very lonely, quiet life, and so I think that he still does not really know how to react to Adrian's kind of persistent nature in some ways, because he's not used to
Yeah.
anybody really caring or trying to get information out of him. So, kind of circling back, they're at the party. Adrian and Freya are dancing together. It's not too long after this that Adrian and Freya get into their first real fight. which makes Dylan feel
Mhm.
super guilty because he gets very happy that
Yeah.
they're fighting, and he thinks
I
that they
mean, I
might.
was happy too. I was like,
I
"Yeah, break up."
know. I know. I was like, he thinks they might finally break up, but their fight lasts less than a whole day. And they spend the day apart, and Adrian he's telling Dylan about why they fought. And the second that Adrian and Freya see each other later on in the day, they just run up to each
Mhm.
other and give each other this huge hug and like, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It's my fault. No, it's my fault.
Right.
And
It's
this
disgusting. I hate it.
yeah, I know. Uh and like this fight actually causes Dylan to really look into his feelings for Adrian and where his feelings are logically going to take him. This also kind of spurs into we've kind of brought this up too, but he realizes that he should be happier that Freya is so accepting of his role in Adrian's life. And he knows that them being together would be Dylan's best chance of staying close with Adrian because he's aware that other girlfriends or other partners of Adrian's may not be as welcoming to their
Uh-huh.
relationship or their closeness as Freya is. He acknowledges that being this close and not getting to actually be with Adrian is slowly killing him, and he ultimately decides to start applying for colleges and gets accepted to Stanford, which is across the country. He tells Adrian that he is going to school there, and Adrian is taken aback by his choice
Mhm.
of school, but is just a super supportive friend and tells him he's very proud of him and that he can't wait to come visit him. They hug and they tell each other that they love each other, which Dylan doesn't think Adrian will ever understand that when he says it to Adrian, it is not platonically. So
Mhm.
they,
He's like, "I'm cheating. I'm gonna say it. He'll never understand what I mean."
yes,
But I'm
yes.
like, "Okay."
I know. Poor
Yeah.
I mean, so much pining and angst. I mean,
Yeah,
in
and I was
so
thinking too, if nothing else, I remember when we moved away and having to tell my best friend that we were
mhm.
moving was the worst. The
Yeah.
worst part,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ugh. It's
So
yeah.
and then, and I wasn't in love with her.
So yeah,
That
definitely
was
not.
bad enough, yeah.
Yeah.
There's just, like, other and, like, at this point, though, I was kind of like, "Okay, if it's so bad that you have to move away and, like, why don't you just" I guess I mean, he's not ready for it, but it's like, "Just lay it all out. Why don't you just,
Right.
like, do your Hail Mary, be like, 'Alright, bye, I'm going to Stanford.'" I mean, I guess his thought is then he'll lose him completely and
Right. Right.
whatever he can get is better than nothing, blah, 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 but
Yeah. Because I think that I totally agree. I was like, just shoot your shot. Like, you have nothing
mhm.
to lose. And especially because then it's like, now you already have
Closed
this plan
mouths
to
don't get
leave.
fed.
Mhm. And you've already got this
Mm,
plan to leave and be so far away. Like,
right.
what is ultimately the worst that could come from being honest at this point? But
Yeah, and
I think
Adrian seems
he's
pretty cool.
yeah,
Like
I know. I think that because I truly think at this point, Adrian would be like, wow, I can't believe you never told me. Like, we can, like,
mhm.
I'm sorry. Or we don't
Right, and then
know.
at least Adrian could lock it up and not be
Yeah.
like, "Let me cuddle you on the couch and
Yeah.
be super touchy-feely with you and tell you that you're in every sentence of every page
Every
of
of
my
my plans.
future plan,"
Yeah.
like, pump the brakes, buddy.
I know.
So
Yeah.
there's that too.
Yeah. Um, this is a break in the story here. We get to part two of the book. It's a few years later, and Dylan is in San Francisco and wakes up in bed with Indy, who is a good friend that he sometimes hooks up with. And he needs to start getting ready to leave for the airport where he is meeting Adrian to go on his bachelor trip. So we find out that it's been a couple years. Dylan has moved across the country, and Adrian has proposed to Freya. And Dylan is still not over Adrian, despite trying.
But I'm like, what did he try to
Oh,
do? I
no.
don't think he did shit.
I don't
Like,
know.
I don't
Like,
believe that
not
he tried to do
emotionally. Yeah.
anything. Yeah. So I'm just like, "Okay."
Yeah. He even mentions that he could not bring himself to go back for Adrian and Freya's engagement party. So instead, he got super drunk and planned a trip for just him and Adrian to Fiji. Pause. Oh, this is a weird thing to me.
I'm also like, does Adrian I don't think Adrian has other friends either.
I
Like,
apparently
who are
not.
his friends?
Well, I think that there's like a little part where Dylan does admit that he didn't think about inviting anybody else because he was drunk and he just booked this trip and was like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
yeah, I guess
Adrian,
that's true.
I
And
this
it's
is
his
like a
last
last."
ditch, yeah, to,
Yeah.
like, be with him or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, just one-on-one and without maybe the rest. So there's not brought up, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
hopefully maybe there's another true bachelor party on the horizon. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Indy is aware of Dylan still being in love with Adrian and tries to persuade him not to go, but there is no way Dylan will give up the last time he'll ever probably get to have some one on one time with Adrian,
Mhm.
like you said. Yeah. Adrian and Dylan are meeting in the San Francisco airport, and when they see each other, Adrian gives Dylan a huge hug, which makes Dylan feel so good and so bad at the same time. He's like, oh no, this is
Yeah.
horrible.
It's all coming back to me
To me now.
now.
Oh, I won't hurt everyone else's ears by continuing those lyrics, but I'm singing them in here in my heart and in my head
And
right now.
yeah. Don't get me started. Okay.
I know. From Adrian's point of view at the airport, he notices how Dylan's style has changed pretty dramatically. He's much more put together than he used to be. There is a comment that Dylan always used to wear just kind of like tennis shoes and jeans and a t-shirt, and he's wearing loafers and these little chino pants that are rolled up. He's embracing his true he's being a lot more himself, or maybe he's trying to become something different because he's moved across the country. Dylan appears very tired, and when Adrian asks what he was up to the night before, Dylan tells him he had a hot date. Still trying to make him jealous.
Mhm.
Even though he has no idea that he loves Adrian, he's still trying to make him jealous.
Yeah. Also, when Adrian is, like, thinking about Dylan, he goes says something whatever, and he goes, "All 6'2" of him." And I was like, "That is not a straight thought."
No. No. You don't know the height of,
Like,
your
he looks good. All 6'2"
foot two.
Like,
Well, that's an interesting thing to notice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe around that time, I think he's jealous. He's like, "Dylan's mine." No, that doesn't sound great either, but he is. He's
Yeah.
mine.
Yes. Yeah.
Man.
However, internally, Adrian is thinking this, but he doesn't really express that out loud to Dylan.
Yeah.
And the fact that he kind of does not respond to this makes Dylan really irritated, but then he admits that it was just Indy, quote unquote, that he was with. Adrian says that Dylan has told him about Indy, but has been somewhat reluctant with the information about him. And Adrian can't figure out why Dylan is very quiet about what their friendship is. He doesn't know if they're together, if they're friends, if they hook up sometime. Like he does not understand the dynamics of his relationship
Mhm.
with Indy, but it does bug him. He wishes that Dylan would just be more honest with him about what they are. And I think that Adrian really does have that mindset that relationships with people are black and white. And I think that comes up later in the book too, but he really feels like this is like, how can you, what do you mean? Are you friends with this person? Or is he your
Right.
boyfriend? Is he like, what is your status? And it irritates him that he doesn't know, which
Yeah.
again, another sign here, Adrian. Why are you so
Yeah.
concerned about Dylan's
I
dating
know.
life?
Which I'm like, I mean, I guess that makes sense for Adrian because he has an easy life and he can
Yeah.
just have easy relationships with people, whereas Dylan has had this giant secret all the time, whatever. But anytime Adrian tries to evaluate his relationship with Dylan, he also can't really define it either.
Right. He knows that it almost made me think of like jokingly, we're going to just veer off topic right now, but listening to people talk about their soulmates or saying that like
Mm,
this person is in my soulmate group, right? Like
yeah.
and so I think that so I can't tell if like, Adrian kind of feels that way a little bit about their relationship, like he knows that he's super important and he knows he's supposed to be in his life, but
Mhm.
can't really like describe or understand why it is that way, besides they're just really, really good friends.
Mhm.
Adrian kind of at this point also admits that he just feels like there's so much he doesn't know about Dylan anymore since he moved away.
Yeah. It's like slipping away from him. And Adrian's staying the same because he's like
Mhm.
stuck in the
Mhm.
garage and
Yes.
all that kind of
And
stuff.
hasn't really got to do the things in his life that he wanted to do yet.
Mhm.
Whereas Dylan left and he
Yeah.
went to college and yes.
So Adrian's also super psyched to be going on this trip because he's just like, "Yeah, we're going on a
Yeah.
trip. I
He
get to
talks about that
travel."
like the only time he's been on a plane up until this point has been to actually go visit Dylan the couple times that he has since he moved out
Yeah.
there. So this is a big deal. There ends up being some issues with their flights and they get delayed and they miss their connection. Adrian is very groggy and jet lagged and kind of lets Dylan handle everything and sets up a charter plane to get them to the smaller island that their hotel is on once they reach Fiji. The plane is like ridiculously small.
Right. It's like a pack of gum
Yes, there is
with
room for,
wings.
yes, them as passengers and the pilot, and that's really it. And Dylan gets very anxious about this being a small plane, but Adrian tells him again some dad jokes to try to get him to calm down and to lighten the mood. This is very much a kind of silly thing, but it is very much in Adrian's personality, and he does it a lot throughout the book. Adrian jokes that being very dorky is sexy, which causes Dylan's smile to slip, and Adrian can't help but think he's missing something with Dylan's
Right.
responses.
Any
Because
chance he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be sad."
well, because I think that at this point, like Dylan calls him dorky for still doing the dad jokes, and then Adrian's like, dorky can be sexy, and then Dylan's like,
Right. Right.
no,
And
no,
he's like,
no, no, no.
"Yeah, because you're I
So
love
sexy, yeah.
you." Like, oh my
Dylan
god.
tries to shift the mood and kind of cover up his awkward response to this and tells some bad dad jokes of his own. At this point, Adrian also kind of goes up into the cockpit next to the pilot and is talking to him a little bit, and he talks about how just beautiful and blue the ocean is. He is super excited about this trip. He's getting to see and do things that he really never thought that he was going to be able to do, especially when he had to, kind of cut off all of his plans and help his family out. They end up relaxing for the last stretch of their travels, and Adrian falls asleep. However, when he wakes up, there's clearly something wrong. There's dark clouds out in front of them, but the pilot assures them they're going to try to fly around the storm. Suddenly, the plane is jerked and they are spinning out of control, and the plane crashes into the ocean. Adrian clings to Dylan frantically throughout the crash, and ultimately is able to free both of them from their seatbelts and get them out of the plane. Dylan is unconscious, and Adrian is not a very strong swimmer, but he spots lightning striking a tree in the distance, so he knows that they're not far from land and starts swimming with Dylan in that direction. He's able to get them onto a strip of beach and tries to wake Dylan up, which he finally is successful in doing, but Dylan throws up seawater. So he definitely, he got some.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not a great
Like,
crash.
it's crazy that he was I wonder how long he had to swim for.
Yeah, it doesn't
I would
say.
be dead 100%.
And carrying another
Yeah.
adult human.
I mean, I guess your
on my back.
adrenaline
Yeah.
is, like, going, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Adrian looks around and tries to see if there's lights or any signs of life on the island that they're on, or the strip of beach, but he doesn't find any. They wake up on the beach and Dylan is obviously extremely disoriented at first. They realize the pilot did not make it, but the two of them are pretty much okay physically, but Dylan has a sprained ankle. They explore the island after making Dylan a crutch and realize that they are completely alone in the middle of the Pacific, which, yeah, I would be
Scary.
absolutely terrified. Like,
Yeah.
I would not make it on those Survivor shows. My drive for survival would be obviously very big. They've both, especially like in Adrian's case, he's got stuff he wants to get back to, but I would
Right.
I would
Well, they
not.
just landed. Okay.
They did.
They assume that people are
Yes.
looking for them and stuff. And at least they're not alone,
Right.
'cause
They have
that
each
would
other.
be
Yeah.
Alright, so Adrian, is thinking about how Freya and his family must be feeling. I guess it's kind of hitting them, like, do they know that they're
That we've
missing
crashed.
yet? And then they realize that they need to find water, obviously. I don't remember exactly what happens, but I had like, how this comes up, but I had to find that somebody goes, "Well, well, well, how the
The
turntables." I was like, "That's
Uh,
so funny." I'm so glad that was in there, but
yes. Yeah.
anyway, oh, I know. Dylan, I think, had wandered off, and Adrian was like, "You can't go off by yourself." Adrian had already
Yeah.
gone off already, so anyway.
Yeah.
But Dylan's found a coconut tree, or are they palm trees? I think that's what you
Yeah.
call them. A tree that has coconuts on it, and they eventually are able to get some open after some trial and error, and the situation's obviously pretty dire. They're trying to stay positive, joking with each other. Adrian's still telling his dad jokes. And Adrian reminds Dylan of their blood pact from when they were 12, basically being like, we have to stick together. We have each other's backs.
Mhm.
We're going to get this figured out. They're worried about overheating. And then they realize, duh, the ocean's right there. So they go for a little swim. And Adrian notices that Dylan's been working out. again. He gets his little missing out feeling again of not being privy to everything that Dylan does. Adrian also thinks about how Dylan is always embarrassed by compliments and things. And I was like, it's probably because he has a little secret crushy crush. And every time you compliment him, he just can't. Also,
He
because
doesn't know what
Aunt
to
Nina,
do.
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
because Aunt Nina sucks. So that
Yeah.
probably is part of it. The next afternoon, it starts to rain. Thank God. And so they use some coconut shells to gather rainwater. And they start making a list of things that they need to do, right? They need more coconut shells. They need to get better at opening coconuts because that is like really hard to do.
It is. I don't know if you've ever I have actually
I ha-
tried to, it's
No, I haven't.
incredibly difficult.
Right. Like
Yeah.
almost impossible. Yeah.
Yes.
They need shelter, food. Fire would also be nice. So, and apparently it's the dry season in Fiji adjacent waters. We don't know exactly where they are, but
Right.
so it'll rain 6 out of the 10 days. And I'm like, well, what is the wet season like?
I mean, that's a lot of rain. But I mean, does that mean like it rained for like 10 minutes? And they're getting,
I don't
you know
know.
what I
I
mean?
don't
Like, what
know.
is the, they didn't really describe what that meant. I mean, at least they were getting
That's true. But
fresh
like, thank
water
God, because I was also like, how
semi-regularly.
do islands get water? And I guess tropical islands just get rained on. And I think they have aquifers and stuff. Like, so if, depending what the island's made of, like as it rains, maybe they have an underground, whatever. But they never find a source of fresh water. But then the sun sets on day 2. So and swarms of mosquitoes appear, which is actually the most horrifying thing that's probably happened to them so far. Like living in Florida and knowing what mosquitoes are like, I mean, that is literally like a nightmare. Anyway, then they start talking about the best ways to die because, I mean, they're in a life or death situation. And Dylan says he's never thought about the best way to die, which I was like, what?
Okay.
Who hasn't thought about that? Also,
So
a lot of people have died. Like, how?
You might not think, well, okay, so I know how I mean, I think everyone has a way that they would prefer. And I think that I could probably have more of a conversation about what I definitely would like not, like that I would not want to die that way.
Adrian's way is the way. You want to die peacefully in your sleep.
Yes, of course.
Like, of old age.
Yes. But for Dylan to be like, I don't know.
I have literally never thought about that. What?
We're so repressed.
Okay, even if you've never thought about it, you know the answer, which is the right answer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, it's so funny.
So Adrian anyway, more dad jokes, and they fall asleep pressed against each other. Which, okay, this is like the one I could see that
for comfort.
You know, like you need comfort.
Yes.
Adrian's dreaming about Freya and then wakes up to pouring rain. So now they're cold and they're just feeling extra sad and miserable. But then they end up seeing on the horizon some kind of metal plate that doesn't seem to be moving. It's like stuck. And so they swim out to it. I guess they're in the Caribbean, right? No.
Well, they're like in
the Pacific.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's like calm water. I don't know. That just, I mean, you have nothing else to do. You're pretty desperate. Because I'm like, you swim out to sea? Nemo's going to touch the butt.
Yeah. Swimming out to sea.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. And so they get out there and it's part of the plane and it's a wing and some of the body. And Adrian starts having some PTSD, remembering the crash and Dylan, being worried about Dylan dying and stuff. And they dive down and they see this case wedged between the plane and the rocks. And they're able to move the plane enough to dislodge it. But in the process, it shifts and Dylan gets trapped. And there is it's pretty scary. Dylan almost dies, but Adrian is able to free him and he comes back up. And this is the part that I was like, what? Adrian breathes into Dylan's mouth under the water. And I was like, you're not a mermaid. And this isn't the movie Hook. Like, what are you doing? Because I'm like, that wouldn't work, right? Like,
I
guess you're like freaking out and desperate, but
yeah. I mean, you have a little bit of oxygen, I think, when you when you breathe out, but it's not efficient. That is for sure. I think he just wanted to give a little lock some lips,
But also when he does this, Dylan goes completely still and like because their lips are touching. And I'm like, Dylan, that's what you're taking away from this moment, right? You're about to die. But I guess he's also like, I'm about to die and Adrian's finally kissing me.
Yeah, not a bad way to go, probably, in his book. We were just talking about this. This would be the way to go.
That is the best way to die, Dylan. With your lips pressed to mine. But Adrian, so Adrian's like, we got to get back to shore immediately. And Dylan is like, are you kidding me? I almost died. We got to get this case or this was all for nothing. And so Adrian dives down one more time and he gets the case and they swim back to shore and recover from their ordeal. And then I guess the case itself is the life raft. Is that like they pull the cord on the case and it, like, I would love to see this, just like, when you open a mattress
Mhm.
like
Yes.
that's all vacuum sealed or whatever, and it explodes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this giant life raft pops up and it has a canopy on the top. And so it's like, yes, so we have shelter. But Dylan still can't get over the whole Adrian's lips contacted my lips. He's like, literally has no chill. It's like every feeling he spent the last couple of years pressing down while he's been in California has come back. And so, yeah, he's just no chill. I'm like, dude,
Yes.
you gotta lock it up. But inside the raft, there's also a repair kit for it, a baler, a sponge, pump, whistle. There's a signal mirror, hand flares, an anchor, a knife, and a medical kit, which has like band-aids and all the usual stuff, but it also has emergency clean water. So they chug that and they realize they can use the signal mirror to start a fire. And so Adrian starts a fire. They use the knife to chop some bamboo. They make this kind of structure over their life raft. And the smoke from the fire helps keep away the mosquitoes. So that is a huge added bonus.
Yes.
They explore the island more. They try to map it out. Dylan's ankle is better, but they only have 3 shoes for their 4 feet.
It's
So they're
hilarious.
traipsing through the
Traipsing.
jungle, and Dylan gets this cut on his arm, and I was like, "Oh my god, please don't get infected," which is like
Mhm.
everyone's
Mhm.
number one. But I'm like, maybe, and it doesn't really amount to anything. But Adrian is very concerned about that too, and it's just another notch in his PTSD. Dylan might die bedpost. He's
Mhm.
very concerned. Adrian's scared of death. They find another tree with some other fruit. Dylan is like, we need food. We got to take this back. Let's try it out. But Adrian's scared it'll be poisonous. Blah, blah, blah. They make it to the other side of the island, and it's really not a big island. And there's nothing on the other side. There's nothing. They keep trying to make themselves feel better, saying like rescue's going to come, but the days keep going on. Dylan starts making notches in a tree to keep track of the days, and they start trying to like make fish hooks and so they can have more food. Adrian's being really grumpy and he's not sleeping, and Dylan knows something's wrong, but he's not really digging in. He's assuming it's just Adrian missing Freya and his family and the life or death situation that they're in. And I'm also like, Dylan, shut the fuck up. He's worried about you dying, okay? Stop being a
He's
little bitch. He's like, he's
saved you
probably
twice.
sad about Freya. I'm like, hmm.
Or, I mean, you could just try to talk about it.
Right. Well, Adrian's not going to tell him anyway,
I
too.
know. I know.
But
But Dylan doesn't try either.
yeah, so
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
we know though, because Adrian, it does. I guess get different chapter POVs of them both, but Adrian's
Yeah.
obsessing over Dylan dying. It's like taking over his thought process. He's also developed this obsession with just sitting on the beach using the signaling mirror and just constantly signaling.
Mhm.
Being like, if I'm doing anything else, I might miss, the one opportunity we have to flag somebody down. It gets to the point where Dylan hides the mirror and that turns into kind of a fight. So now
Mhm.
they're in this kind of funk. It's awkward, and it's never been awkward between them before. They're so sad. And then Adrian has a nightmare one night, and Dylan wakes him up, and it just keeps escalating. They're fighting. I mean, the stress of being on a deserted island do that to you. And then it starts pouring rain. Adrian starts freaking out because the fire gets put out. And
Dylan's like,
Adrian is just like
"Dude,
going through it. Yeah.
chill. We can make another fire. It's okay. We'll figure it
Yeah.
out." Yeah.
He's just about to have a full-on breakdown. He finally tells Dylan his nightmares are about Dylan dying. He needs to get Dylan off of this island. Dylan helps him calm down. I mean, it's taking over his thoughts.
And I can't imagine how your thoughts would spiral in that scenario where you
Right.
are literally stuck with nothing. And
Mhm.
I mean, you've got this other person, and I think that part of Adrian's fear of Dylan's death, I think maybe even like subconsciously, is that he is afraid that if Dylan is not there, he won't survive either.
Mm.
He's worried that he won't survive without him, or maybe he doesn't want to survive without him. Maybe it's both at the same time, but I think
Yeah.
that spiral is not just fear for is mainly fear for Dylan, but also he's like, yeah, I'm not going to make it if Dylan doesn't make it. Like I
Yeah.
can't do this. Yeah.
Because that is a good point. There's also just the layer of like being stranded with your very best friend who you
Mhm.
love so much
Mhm.
versus a stranger. Would Adrian be freaking out like this if it was him and the pilot?
Probably
Probably not.
not. Yeah.
And then Dylan sort of calms Adrian down and they go back into the raft and they fall asleep cuddling. So Dylan's like shivering. I feel like with anticipation, but no, with just like nerves, you know, being like
Yeah.
touching Adrian. We're not sure if he's cold or just shivering from cuddling the man he's in love with, but Adrian's then like, our clothes are cold and wet. We need to take them off. And then so they do that and continue to spoon.
Which is hilarious because part of me is like, I mean, yes, that is
Yeah.
true. You should not wear like the wet clothes
You're
are not
right.
going to help you warm up.
Hmm.
However, it's a little suspicious.
Right, right, right. Hey,
Hey, we should take our clothes off.
homoerotica, it's a very historic thing. So the next morning when Adrian wakes up, Dylan's already sitting outside the raft, and Adrian's noticing how skinny he is. Things are still a little awkward, but Adrian's feeling better. They finally have made a fishing line and a fish hook, and they catch a fish. So they eat it, and they feel full for the very first time that they've been on the island. So that's a big deal. And they're just having like a normal, joking kind of conversation, which leads Adrian to being like, oh, yeah, what does turn you on? And Dylan, again, no chill. He can't even pretend with this conversation. You could literally probably be like, well, you could describe Adrian perfectly.
And he would have
and
no
he would
idea.
be like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
Oh, that sounds familiar, but
so
I can't.
right, like,
Yeah.
Well, instead of doing anything, Dylan goes completely still. It's like he's not even breathing. He just completely clams up, won't answer the question. And so then Adrian is confused at first, and he's like, I guess that was kind of personal, but also like we don't have secrets. We
Right.
don't have boundaries. Dylan knows everything about Adrian. He knows the first girl Adrian kissed, all of Adrian's girlfriends, when Adrian lost her virginity. And then Adrian, as he's thinking all this, he's like, wait, I don't know any of that stuff about Dylan. And so now Adrian, again, is his like, he won't let it go and keeps poking, trying to get him to answer. And Dylan eventually tells him a few things he likes about guys. It's very surface level. And Adrian feels like he's not being truthful, and he really doesn't like the idea of Dylan, again, keeping things from him. But he gets Dylan to finally admit that he likes being in charge. And he's not surprised necessarily by Dylan's answer, but he is surprised by his reaction to it, which is that he really likes the idea of someone else being in charge. I'm sorry.
Oh my
It's
God, that's so funny.
so good. And Adrian also finds out that Dylan's a lot more sexually experienced than him. And the conversation does get a little charged between them when and he doesn't really know what to make of it, so he changes the subject.
Mhm.
But Adrian's starting to get a little tinglies.
This part made me laugh because I'm just like, I mean, but then so it made me laugh because I'm like, you don't know these things about your friend. And it seems like kind of an odd
Yeah.
conversation to bring up now.
Yeah.
But you're also stuck on an island. Like how you
What
cannot
else
know
are
this
you gonna
person.
do? Yeah.
How you don't know this person, every single
Yeah.
thought, feeling, and fear that they have had in their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to talk about something at some point. You can't have the same
Yeah.
conversations over and over and over.
And this is making me realize too, and maybe Adrian too, because like I'm sure a lot of people have had these kind of relationships where like you have less skin in the game than somebody else you have a relationship with, even if it's a friendship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really easy as that person who maybe it's a guy that has a secret crush on you, or it's just some friend that likes whatever, but like you have the power and you don't even kind of realize it. And you're
Right.
just going along, not needing to overthink anything, being like, la, 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 and being sort of careless in your relationship with that person
Yeah.
until you start to realize like, oh, this is very one-sided and I'm getting all of the benefits. And I feel
Mhm.
like Adrian has just kind of been floating along like that with Dylan and not
Mhm.
realizing that that's their dynamic
Mhm. Yes.
where and once, that's pointed out and it's put to the test, he realizes like, oh yes, Dylan is actually important enough to me. I'm going to put in the work that
Mhm.
I need to, versus it could go the other way, right? Where he'd be like, oh, actually, no, this relationship is
Right.
not, I'm not going to do that. But so it could, go either way. But I
And
feel
I
like that's a common relationship dynamic that he's just now realizing
using that.
is their
Oh,
how they are.
and I think that like I think that he also feels like when he's talking about this very specific point of Dylan's sexuality and what he's done before, he does mention and he realizes that I have taken advantage of the fact that I had my best friend there to talk through all of these things with. And I
Mhm.
think that it also then like it comes to the point where you're like, why hasn't he told me about these things? I've always been super open with him, but he has never talked about any of this. And I feel like that should have been a very obvious thing to Adrian then be like, well, why hasn't he told me this? There has to be some reason
Mhm.
why. And I think that Adrian owed it to Dylan to kind of push a little bit farther in this, like, because he's thinking about, like, the physical side of what their conversation was versus, like, the emotional, like, "Why hasn't Dylan told me?" Or, "Why haven't we
Mhm.
ever talked about this before?" Or, "Have I taken advantage of our friendship and felt like I always, like, unburden myself with him, but he doesn't do the same to me," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Poor little Dylan.
Poor yeah, and dumb little Adrian.
I know, yeah, oblivious.
Yeah. So, time goes on. Adrian is feels like maybe he really did, die in the crash. The real world feels just so far away, and he really misses his family and Freya. And one day, while he's walking past the tree where Dylan marks there has their little calendar, he realizes it's the day of his wedding. So Dylan holds him while he cries. It's so sad.
So sad.
That was really sad.
Oh my god, I was like, I can't even imagine, that's
Yeah.
horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. And just thinking about like, Freya on that day, like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. Because they know that. I think that I don't remember exactly how
Yeah.
much time has passed at this point, but it's been long enough that I think they're assuming that their friends and family believe they're dead for sure, that there's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
no sign of
So I
them at
can't
this point.
right, and I don't know I can't remember when their wedding might have been. If I say anything, I'll probably be making it up. I wanna say, like, September, but
Yeah, and I
that
feel
could
like
be
it was,
something
like, um,
like,
months?
May or something when they did
Yeah.
whatever, but, yeah, it's insane how long they've been there.
Yes.
And Adrian wakes up from another nightmare one night. He's not totally sure what he was dreaming about, but he can assume it was probably about the crash or Dylan dying. He used to dream about Freya, but he's starting to feel like she's slipping further and further away. And Dylan and Adrian sleep every night wrapped around each other. They just don't talk about it. Which
Yep.
again, I can understand that
Mhm. That's a human
piece of
comfort
it.
level. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But okay. It's gonna be funny. Dylan wakes up with a problem. He's got a boner with as a result of spooning with Adrian one morning. And he has this new routine now where he sneaks out every morning to jerk off so that he can have some relief, or else he will be on edge all day and just be like a jerk. So they've been there long enough now that they've settled into routines. They gather firewood, keep the fire going. They fish, they gather coconuts, and that other weird fruit they don't know the name of. They can find bird eggs, that's sweet. And then they also found this jackfruit tree, so they add that to their rotation of food. But at this point, it's been 182 days. That's how many marks are carved into the tree. So I'm pretty sure that's like 6 months. Yeah,
Mhm.
that would make
Yeah.
sense. That's 6
Yeah, it's
months.
about half a year, yeah.
Yeah, and it's now the wet season, so it rains every single day, which is a good thing. And they have chores to do, but it's mostly very boring, so they talk a lot. They used to talk about Freya, but they don't anymore, and Dylan's just grateful that she hardly ever comes up at all. It's just like, yeah, par for the course. Dylan's like, if I could just not ever think about Freya or talk about her again,
Forever
that
again,
would
that would
be
be great.
cool. Yeah. So then one night, they're lying by the fire, and Adrian gets up to put more wood on. He lays back down. He rests his head on Dylan's stomach. Again, I'm like, bro. Dylan's trying to be cool, but he has no chill once again. And he notices how long Adrian's hair is. He runs his fingers through it and he stops. It's like he doesn't even notice that he's doing it at first. And Adrian's like, that felt really good. You should keep doing that. Oh, he starts doing it again. And then Adrian asks Dylan if he thinks everybody held a funeral for them. And Dylan's like, well, I haven't really thought about the fact that the rest of the world probably thinks we're dead. And they both realize too that the search has probably been called off after all of this time. Like, yeah, I mean, it's been sick. I mean, getting lost at sea is insane. Like at the
Yeah,
Pacific too, you're never going to be found.
and the currents are very strong and very, I
Mhm.
mean, I from
At
and
least they weren't
there's
on a raft.
right, right. I think that, it made me wonder at this part too, because they were kind of talking about this whole, like, do you think that everyone thinks we're dead? And it made me wonder because of the way the ocean currents shift so much, is just if part of the plane wreckage was found elsewhere, or it came up on shore on a different island, or you know what I mean? Like, and then
Yeah, totally.
they found their luggage, but not them, or,
Yeah, right,
something
right,
like
right,
that.
right.
And yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because that would be my thought, like, what if they found the plane crash, and maybe even they
Especially,
found the
right.
pilot too, but not them, like, where that would be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. And I mean, how many people have been lost at sea where you find nothing,
right.
I mean,
Mhm.
so many.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
But anyway, so while they're chilling, then they see a light in the distance. and they start screaming and shouting. They throw things on the fire to make it bigger. And then, of course, it starts pouring down rain again. And then they remember they have 2 flares. So they use one, even though it's raining so hard. It stays lit for quite a while, but whatever was out there never comes. And I'm like, was it still raining the whole time? I don't
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
I get doing that, but I'm also like, I don't even know. Would it be possible for anybody to see a flare like that if it's pouring down rain?
I don't know. And then it made me wonder too if the fire would have been a better signal in general anyway
Well,
than
and it got put out
using
with
yeah,
the rain.
the rain. Yeah.
Don't even get me started on flare number 2. Sure, that comes later. In their mad scramble to, oh yeah, get more firewood during this whole thing, Dylan's gotten some pretty bad injuries, and he has like a cut on his cheek, and he also has this big piece of wood stuck in his foot. So Adrian tries his best to sterilize their equipment, and he gets the splinter out. It like horrible.
Yeah, it grossed me out. I just think because I think a splinter is like one of the most weirdly painful things
And
that
this is
you
not
can
even a splinter, it was like a
it's a
chunk of
chunk
wood, I
of
feel like
yes.
full
Yeah.
on in his foot. Dylan's about to get up, and Adrian keeps him there, being like, "I have to patch you up." And Adrian's feeling a little dizzy. Is it from the blood? Is it from touching Dylan? We don't know, but he like starts caressing his foot, you know? He's just holding on to him. I'm just like, Adrian, baby.
I know. And so I just want to throw out there because we do know from context about Adrian's family that they are very touchy-feely. So
Mhm.
at first I was kind of like, is Adrian just kind of playing this off that he just misses those comforts of having kind of a lot of people that are like that he can
Mhm.
touch and that will touch him back? Is that what is this human comfort level that but also I'm like, this is your best
Yeah.
friend.
Right.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be touching my best friend like that. I would be cuddling
No.
with her at night,
Yes.
sure, but I would not be caressing her foot and
Are
laying on her
you
stomach.
okay? Yeah.
And then Adrian realizes that Dylan's gone completely still. He's staring at him wide-eyed, and Dylan pulls his foot away, puts some distance between them, and then jumps up being like, "We gotta do chores." And then he walks right into a tree. That was so funny.
Oh, I was laughing.
And
I
then
was like
Adrian's just like, "What is going on?"
Adrian's like, "Why are you reacting this way?
Man.
I don't understand."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But should we pause here?
Yeah, I think this is a good spot.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, apologies that these episodes go so long, but also, who doesn't love it?
Exactly, who doesn't?
This isn't for you, it's for us.
Yes, this was super fun. So we are about halfway through The Island by Briar
Yeah.
Prescott, so we will have to do a part 2 of this and let everybody know how it concludes.
Okay.
All
Can't
right.
wait till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.